Starting my rail fanning day early can bring side benefits, like catching a group of hot air balloons floating overhead with the sunrise. Apparently those folks are just as crazy as we early rising rail fans. I've got no agenda today, just the day off, so I'm headed to the tracks. As I get close, I'm hearing some radio chatter that sounds like a roadway team. Not good for catching trains. Then I saw the train, stopped on the number 2 main. Further up, there were some trucks parked at the end of a loaded center beam. What was happening?
Jesus.
Immediately, I hear talk of pulling it down to the Messick Road crossing, so that's where I went. The wounded train was Q453. A broken knuckle had separated the train at Ellerslie, but with all these other personnel involved, how could it be just a broken knuckle? A normal train crew can handle that repair. Then I saw it. It was more than a broken knuckle. The whole drawhead had snapped off that center beam car. This would involve bringing up a car repair team from Winston or Tampa. That was going to take time, so they'd pulled it down here to clear up track 1. But there was a bigger problem. The break had occurred while the southbound train was entering the number 2 track from the single main, and there were still about 6 cars on Q453's bottom end hanging out on the single track. And as my old dispatcher friend Gordon W. Deason would say, that makes Q453 king of the road. Ain't nothing moving by here. The trainmaster and shop forces were working on the problem, but meanwhile trains were piling up from the north and the south on the S-line. First to arrive was the red-hot Q178, piggyback traffic out of Winter Haven. With 453 still fouling the main, all this train could do was pull up and wait. After learning it might be 2 hours before car repair forces could get here, the decision was made to stop a southbound K train up on the double track at St. Catherine, have its engines come down here to shove Q453's bottom through the switch and out of the way. It took an hour for K780 to arrive from the north. They coupled up to the helpless 453, and with the help of a trainmaster to drive 780's conductor all the way to the broken end, things were finally cleared up. I knew that the Q178 intermodal would be turned loose first, so I moved north about a mile to the Dade City Depot for the catch. What I did not know is that the JA dispatcher had set a meet there. The southbound Q177 was just arriving. This is a nightly double stack from the Jacks Ramp to Winter Haven Intermodal Center. The dispatcher was holding 177 for one more, so I moved north one more siding. I got set up at Lakuchi just in time for Q652, early morning general freight out of Tampa for Waycross, Georgia, and a big one today, 11,000 feet. I now had something of a plan. I would keep moving north to catch what would be a string of trains backed up by the Q453 mishap, and a slow order through the derailment site at Citra. Just 4 days before, a northbound phosphate train struck a southbound coal train as it was entering the siding at Spar. That cleanup was still underway. I got back on the road, and behind a vintage car built in the days when the S-Line was still the seaboard and steam engines were the norm. But this guy's sentimental journey was only running about 35 miles an hour, and I couldn't wait for that. I paced Q652 northward until I got to Citra in Marion County. As I poked around trying to find the crash site, I discovered the old Spar defect detector bungalow. Classic seaboard airline. Concrete block structure with steel door painted green. Now out of service. The crash site was about 3/4 of a mile back to my south. But as I got to the area, a deputy sheriff convinced me that no pictures would be allowed. So I spun around. In this super telephoto shot, you can see one of the hoppers pushed to the side. There were dozens of them scattered in the woods here, and 2 big locomotives on their sides on the other side of the track. As I was leaving the area, Q652 came on the radio at the south end of Spar, so I moved up to a private crossing and got him from the west side this time. That would end an unusual rail fanning day on the Florida S-Line. At Spar, Florida, the S716.4. This is Danny Harmon, out.